I'm going to talk about a little bit sensitive issues today. It is about the ADHD, so attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. This ADHD, since we have increasing prevalences of ADHD these days, and if you I don't know, I'm teacher educator, so I ask my own students, they're all just teacher candidates. I asked once a while, do you know anyone? Do you have anyone in your family and yourself, including yourself, who have ADHD? And then mostly 60 to 70% of my students raise their hands. So that means that many people and children, our children have ADHD tendencies, and they said they have ADHD, their family members have ADHD. That means they have all those diagnoses from medical doctor, right? Or yeah, I'm a little bit have a hyper tendency, and yes, I'm a little bit hyper, and then they say that's a their characteristics and personality traits, not really ADHD. So that many diagnoses we have, and CDC website, I believe it's a 66% or 65%. It's several years ago when I checked, and our I think the data was secondary students or something. So it is surprisingly high. However, this ADHD is not really covered by IDEA. When they need some service, special education service, and they can have a service through other health impairment. However, that service is not about their learning or anything. If they have ADHD, however, they may have some literacy, reading issues, or just math issues, and then they would have a label of learning disabilities. So if they have some low language skills or language deficits, and they would have intellectual disabilities. So they do not have those primary disabilities among 13 IDEA disability labels. That means they have ADHD, still academically they are okay. Okay, and then emotionally they are okay. So that's why they just have only ADHD diagnosis from the medical doctors. However, with that medical doctors diagnosis comes to school, and the school psychologist tested them, and they did not find any of 13 disabilities with them. So, however, this ADHD needs some accommodation, not modification, accommodations, and then we, provide the services through, Section 504. So these many ADHD are in the general education classrooms. Most of ADHD have stay in general education classrooms if they don't have any other primary disabilities. So they are in the general education classrooms, and then these children are general education teachers' children, students. However, most of states, not that many general education teachers have that much method level, professional level, special education knowledge and skills. So, however, they have ADHD, and then they usually just separate from ADHD and then behavioral issues. So once a student have ADHD label, and then teachers believe that it's a disability and ADHD with ADHD, and then that's not the area I can touch. So pretty much, leave them alone, or they are too wild. It's a teacher's perspective, it's too wild. And then they just ask help from the school office, and they go to school office. It's out of instruction, right? And then stay there and then calm them down, and then they just can come back. That's the daily survival. It is not permanent any kind of, method we use. So most of children with ADHD, they have a medication. So teachers live on their medication. So whenever children is a little bit today is, very hyper, loud and active, and then they ask, if you take a, pill, medication, you did. So if they said, no, I didn't feel good, so my mom didn't give it to me, and then, they just, okay, today I'm going to have a hard day. So that's how they survive. But not many teachers really believe they can work on, these children and gradually, slowly shaping these children's hyperactivity and impulsivity. So we have a two sides in ADHD. One is inattention and the other one is hyperactive and impulsivity, right? Inattention is attention, they see it's attention issues. So it's their attention is a mental thing, right? So as long as even though they're they are not attentive, as long as their body is quiet, and then teachers can survive with them. However, they are physically hyperactive and impulsive, and then teachers pretty much, that day is really difficult day and cannot do much because of a few children with ADHD. So it is very difficult. However, when I say medication, this medication is a short-term prompt effectiveness, right? We expect short-term and prompt effectiveness, and those dosage we know, while they are growing, and the dosage increasing as well. So it goes together. So in the beginning, small doses, but more and more because it doesn't work, or medication doesn't work, and then they increase dosage. The doctors do that. So that's the medication, and they survive with the medication. And then the other side is a behavior shaping, behavior method that is for long-term effectiveness. So it works, and then it's a long-term effect. So pretty much the children can work without medication. And then this effect is not prompt, not quick. It's like a very slow, very gradually it works. If the method works. So I cannot explain how to work on this using behavior shaping. I'm just saying most of our selection is these days a medication instead of a behavior shaping. And then not many teachers actually know how to intentionally teach these children's behavior shaping. So this is instruction. You have to put the time, and then you have to work on with the instruction. So it's the child can. It's just an easy, simple thing. Is just work with a child staying in their seat. So in seat behavior. Okay. So in the beginning, just like a 1 minute, and then 2 minutes. 3 minutes, you just gradually increase because their body so far is all over, right? So physically, they have to get used to it. So it's not just they don't feel twinkle and then get up and those, stimulation gradually. So in the beginning, just for 1 minute and sit just face to face, so knees to knees in two chairs together, sit with the child. And then just with whatever just the goodies a child like, and then just sit with the child, and then look at the child and say just with that, let's say it's a M&M, is a small piece, right? You hold it up, and then child looks at you, and then I look at the child, hold, and then in front of the child, 1, 2, 3, and then put that M&M into the child's mouth. So. And then you sit, and the child eats, and then you wait, and the child you look at you because there is an M&M, bag, and then she's gonna give it to me or not. The child is waiting, and then you just want, and then when child is about to get up, and then you say, sit down, and then you just touch the child, knees, just laps a little bit, just sit, and then child just, okay. And then child sits, and then you just keep again, and hold it up. And 1, 2, 3, and then just put it the child mouth. So in the beginning, if a child cannot even stand up a few seconds, you just say 1 and then give, and then wait 1 second or 2 seconds, and then again 1 and then give. So a few times you do it, and then you ask the child hands, and then you hold the child hands, and then walk with the child around. You can go to the hallway or the inside the classroom, and then come back to the seat, and then you do it this again. Okay, so in the beginning, because at any moment the child could, charge off. That's why without any barrier in between, you just need to sit down with the child, and then gradually you just distance with the child 1 step away, just chairs 1 step away, and then keep doing this activity. And then later on, you just even count to 10, and then just give to the child, and then child waits. Okay, this is not reinforcement. I'm using this M&M as a tool. It's a communication. Okay. So I do this, and then later on, eventually, we could sit with a table in between. It's small table, and then we just spread the M&M. It's like a 10 M&M or 5 M&M in front of the child. And then you hold the 1, and then up, and then count, and then give, and then child knows these ones here. Okay, so these are all mine. So in the beginning, they may just impulsively try to grab it, but they know the rule. Once they know the rule, and they don't touch, and they wait, eat and wait. And then in my work, in my clinical diagnostic teaching, the child could not even sit 1 minute, and then on the 3 medications and autism. This child just eventually, it was not that many months I practiced, just like this kind of a one, intentionally I work as an instruction. And then 30 minutes, 40 minutes, child could stay. Later on, I just do my work, and child is just sitting there. If a child, this child was ASD, but if a child can do something, and then you could just naturally put the, blank sheet with some crayons and markers, and then child sits and then get bored, and then they just do something. However, child does not get up until you say hands and then walk with the child. Okay, so once in a while you just give the child, but it's not child just, okay, you can get up. It's not that. It just still hold my hand and then walk out, and then come back and then sit. So give the break to the body, but eventually child can sit 30 minutes, 40 minutes. At least the child can sit down and 30 minutes and 40 minutes and focus, and then you can survive, and you can finish it during that time, at least, 1 subject area, right? Anyway, young children, you have to divide and give them some break, about 5 minutes break, something. So you teach about 30 minutes or 40 minutes in elementary school, and then give about 5 minutes break. That break is not just children's just being wild break. However, you can lead that break. You turn on the music, and then kids all get up in the front of the classroom, and you can dance together, or you can do brain gym with the children, or you can do hand without jump rope, but still jump rope, or just you can do jumping jack, all kinds of things you can do with the children a few minutes. So we have to give those primary grade elementary children those break. Children's meant to move. However, we just ask them to sit down too long. It's not only ADHD. Any children can be hyper and impulsive. Their body is not hyper and impulsive. We just label them as a hyper and impulsive. They are supposed to be hyper and impulsive because they are young children. Okay, so most of ADHD is sitting issues. Right? They are supposed to sit down at least for 30 minutes and 40 minutes with a focus. That's what we need. And during that time, we can teach. It's not they are all over, all the time. It's just based on the disease, time to walk or time to sit down. time to play and time to work. We just teach them those categories, separation, and then children learn that in kindergarten age and first grade, and then easily they can follow, and you can have a really good class every day. Teachers, you do not have those attention, and then you cannot teach. You're just doing teaching show without audiences, right? I'm just talking now. However, if you turn it on, however, you don't listen, it's my speaking show. It's not really teaching, even though I have a message, right? It's the same thing. If a teacher teaches students don't listen, don't focus, that's not teaching. You have to see your teaching through children's learning outcomes, right? And then you taught